Hello, my name is Keshwani. It's Keshwani, Keshwani. We're here because we want to prepare for the math portion of the GRE. We have been solving math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the GRE, the revised journal test. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it in order for you to be able to follow my work. The problem that we are solving right now is the one that you will find on page number 157. This is the continuation of what we did yesterday, which is why it says day 58, that's why it says day 57 and 58. It is important that you watch day 57 because I'm going to build upon that. So I'm going to quickly give you a recapitulation, a recap. Recapitulation was the word that I just used. Most people abbreviate that as recap. If you want to learn this word properly to improve your vocabulary, you can just type in vocabulary day 32, and you will learn this word recapitulation along with a bunch of other interesting words. But do not confuse the word recapitulate with the word capitulate, which is why you need to watch the video so that you can make the distinction. Those are two entirely different words. Anyway, enough said. So here's a recapitulation of what we learned yesterday. If we have to pick two people out of three, let's say we have three people, A, B, C, pick 2 out of 3, what we found is that on the surface it looks like if there are three people, A, B, C, and if you ask me how many different ways can I pick a first person, the answer is 3, because there are three people, A, B, C, I can pick any one of those three people. After having chosen the first person, how many different ways can I pick a second person? Well, one is already chosen, there are two left, therefore it looks like I have two more options. I have two options to pick a second person. It looks like I have 6 different ways of picking two people out of 3. But what we learned yesterday is that in this thing, what is going on is double counting. I'm going to show you one more time quickly where the double counting is taking place, very quickly, so that we can move on to what we have to learn today. So there are 3 different options here for the first place. I can either pick A or B or C. If we pick A for the first round, then we can choose either B or a C. If you pick B for the first round, we can choose either A or a C. If you pick C for the first round, then for the second round, we can either choose A or B. As you can clearly see, there is some double counting going on here. The pairs are counted twice. As for example, AB is same as BA, because order is of no importance here. These are called combinations, not to be confused with permutations, where order does matter. Here it doesn't matter in which order we pick the people, as long as they are chosen. We just have to figure out how many different ways of picking two people out of 3. Whether we picked A first and then B, or B first and then A, makes no difference here. So we're double counting. AB is counted as one option and BA is counted as one option. That is not true. Both of them are just one pair. Here is AC and here is CA. We're double counting it. And finally, we have BC in black, where is my pointer, and CB. Everything is double counted here. So we need to take this answer as 3 times 2 and divide that by 2, take half of it. And that will give us how many different ways we really have of picking two people out of 3. And the answer, of course, is there are only 3 ways of picking two people out of 3. I'm going to show you here in pairs, A, B, and C. We can either pick A, B, or we can pick A, C, or we can pick B, C. Voila, that's it. The rest is as I keep saying it, double counted. It's the mirror image of what is going on. Would you like to see the mirror image? I'm going to show you the mirror image then of what is going on here. And the mirror image should not be counted. There are not 12 different ways of picking two people out of 3. There are only, I don't mean to say 12. There are not, I'm jumping ahead of myself, I'm adding one more person, which will come later. There are not 6 different ways of picking two people out of 3. There are only 3 different ways right here, AB, AC, or BC. The mirror image does not count. And if you do not know what I'm talking about, the mirror image, I'm going to show you in a second here. There is another way of looking at the same thing in this context. 3 people, out of 3 people, A, B, C, A, B and C. Of course, this does not count because this is just A. A is one person. I mean, we just got a pair, we have to pick two people. Unless A happens to have multiple personality, but we're not talking about that here. And this doesn't count, that's just BB. And this cell does not count. Whatever is going on here, we're going to see mirror image here. So I'm going to show you the mirror images that we're talking about here. For example, AB is same as BA. You see? Right there. Similarly, AC is same as CA. You see? That's the mirror image. It doesn't count. We cannot count them twice. It's the same thing. Similarly, lastly, we have BC, D, C, and CB, as you can see, as in the colors. I'm going to put this around in case you have trouble seeing it. This right there. So there are only three ways. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to thicken the plot. We're going to introduce the third person. And we'll see what happens. Okay? So stay with me. But we're going to start out with a very kinky scenario. Yes, I said kinky. Yes, you're right. You heard it right. Kinky. Why not? Even nerds are allowed to be kinky once in a while. Christ's sake, why not? So let's start out with something kinky. How many different ways can we choose 3 people out of 3? Well, that is kinky. If there are 3 people and I'm asked to choose 3 people out of 3, well, there's only one way I can pick it, which is to pick all 3 of them. That's it. That's the end of the story. So we already know the answer is 1, which is exactly the kind of exercise we did yesterday. So if you have not watched yesterday's video, watch it. Now listen, having said this thing, this is going to turn out, yesterday was 20 minutes, today is going to be another 20-25 minutes. It's going to be a long lecture here. We could do all of this long lecture, or you can memorize the formula and do the problem. It's your choice. Do you understand? I don't like to memorize formulas, especially this particular one. I hate it. I abhor it. There is a formula in the book that they give you, and they ask you to plug in that formula, page 157, if I can find the bloody thing. And where they give you the explanation, see if I can find it quickly. I think it is on page 157, explanation also. Page 157. Oh, explanations are not there. Since I started this thing, I have to finish it now. So I'm going to give the page number as to where you can see this so-called formula. Oh, it is on page number 192. Page 192. Where should I put it? On page 192, actually, they give the formula, and you can memorize the formula and be done with it if you want to. But I like to do it intuitively, logically. So let's do it there. How many different ways are there of picking 3 people out of 3? The answer is 1. First, we're going to do it the mathematical way, understand what's going on, and then we're going to build upon it. Okay? Watch what happens. So we start out here. Here, the story starts with not one person, but the story begins with the second part of the story, the second episode, where we have already chosen a pair. So when we're asking ourselves how many different ways are there of picking 3 people, in reality, what is being asked here is how many different ways I can pick a third person once a pair has been chosen. So let's first find out how many pairs are there. We just talked about that. Right here. There are 3 people, A, B, C. AB is one pair. AC is another pair. And BC is another pair. So there are 3 ways of picking 2 people out of 3, as we saw that already. 3 ways of picking the first person, 1 out of, because there are 3 people, so we have 3 choices of picking a first person. We had 2 choices of picking the second person, and since we were repeating things, we have to divide this by 2. We already saw that. Now we're trying to figure out how many different ways I can fill the third spot. Well, watch what happens. Watch what happens. If we chose A and B as a pair, If we chose A and B as a pair, we can pick C. If we chose A and C as a pair, we can pick B. If we had chosen B and C as a block, you have to look at them as a pair, as a one unit. Then we have A. But there is only one way. There is only one way you can choose a third person. Right here, do it. If you have to pick 3 people out of 3, there are 3 different ways you can pick first person. There are 2 different ways you can put a second person. And because of the repetition, we have to take half of that. And now, once you've chosen 2 people out of 3, how many different ways can you pick a third person? Answer is 1. There's only one way you can pick a third person, because 2 are already chosen. So that's 1 right there. But guess what's going on? Now, we are triple counting. Don't look at them as a unit. We are triple counting. Because ABC is same as ACB, which is same as BCA. These are not 3 different ways. We are triple counting, so we have to divide that by 3. Voila. You have to divide that by 3. And of course, when you work it out, 3 goes into 3 one time, and 2 goes into 3 one time, and the answer is 1, which of course we knew all along. There is only one way you can pick 3 people out of 3. Let's make it more interesting. Let's ask ourselves, how many different ways can we pick 3 people out of 4? Which will be more interesting. That's it. I need to erase this thing. You're going to pick 3 people. Pick 3 out of 4. So again, the story is going to start with pairs. The story is going to begin with pairs, and we're going to have one more person. Now, before we ask ourselves how many different ways can we pick 3 people out of 4, let's first understand one thing. Choosing 3 people out of 4 is same as not choosing one person out of 4. And if you think about it, it makes sense. If you ask me, let's listen carefully. If you ask me to choose, in that room there are 4 people, you tell me, you said there are 4 people in that room, come out with 3 people that you like to work on this project. I need 3 people, there are 4 in that room, go and pick 3 people. But what you essentially asked me is to make a decision, for me to make a decision, which one I don't want to pick. Because whichever one I don't want to pick, I'm picking the other 3. You see? This is the symmetric part, that the mirror image that we talk about and so forth. Do you understand? There is a word for it in mathematics. I'm drawing a blank right now. In the set theory, there is a term, we call it prime. There's a regular and then the prime. Anyway, don't worry about that. So if you, again one more time, if you send me to this room and you tell me there are 4 people in that room, I need 3 people to work on this particular project, go in there and bring me 3 people. What you have essentially asked me is to go in that room and not choose one person. Well, how many different ways can I not choose one person out of 4? There are 4 people here. A, B, C, C, D. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. I have 4 ways. I have 4 options of not choosing one person. I can go in that room and not choose A. Or I can go in that room and not choose B. Again, I'm picking 3 people. I can go in that room and not choose C. I can go in that room and say D is the one I don't want to choose. There are 4 different ways of choosing 3 people out of 4. Now I'm going to show you mathematically why that is. Now we're going to see mathematically why that is. Now that we understand intuitively, now that we understand it on a gut level, now that we understand it logically, the answer that there are 4 different ways for us to pick 3 people out of 4. Now we're going to see the mathematical way. I need the room obviously, so I need to erase everything. Again, the story is going to begin with the pairs. That's where the story begins. The second half of it's the second act. You understand? First act is already done, where we have chosen a pair. So here are the 4 people. A, B, C, and D. And how many different ways can we pick a pair? We can have AB, we can have AC. No, you didn't hear me say that. We can have AD, we can have BC, we can have BD, or finally we can have CD. There are 6 different ways. And of course we learned before, and I'm repeating myself over and over again, I really need the room, so I'm going to erase all of this thing. This is what I wrote yesterday. In the actual problem that we're dealing with, that we're trying to figure out at the very end, is that we need to select 6 people out of 11. 3 are already chosen. We need to teach, therefore we need to pick 3 people out of 8. Just erase this part actually, I don't need this now. I need the room. So here there are 6 ways. There are 6 ways of making pairs. In other words, there are 6 ways of choosing 2 people out of 4. 6 ways of choosing 2 people out of 4. And the reason is this: since we are picking out of 4, there are 4 different ways we can pick first person. There are 3 different ways we can pick a second person. And because of the fact that we are having a repetition, we are double counting everything, we need to divide the answer by 2. And of course this one also has a mirror image. But these are the pairs we're going to start out with, and we're going to see what happens when we introduce the third person. Okay? So here we go. And very quickly, if you're interested in looking at the mirror image of this one as to the double counting part, I'm going to show you where the double counting is taking place. Here is A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. This A, B, B, C, D and D, D do not count, as we already talked about before, unless they have multiple personalities. But today they don't. So here is AB, which is same as BA. You see the double counting. Here is AC, and here is CA, again double counting. Here is AD, and here is DA. I'm running out of colors rapidly. That is all I have for colors. So now we're going to have to do it in a kinky way. Here we have BC, and BC. That's double counted. And then here we have BD, put in a triangle, and DB, double counted. And finally we have these 2. What are those? CD, let's put them in a circle, and DC. As you can see, these are the only 6 that matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6 are not going to count. So even though it looks like there are 12 ways of picking 2 people out of 4, which is where the 12 is coming from, 4 times 3, there are 4 ways of picking the first person. There are 3 ways of picking the second person, because we have 4 people. So it looks like there are 12 different ways. Here, as you can see, only 6 of them count, and therefore we divide the 12 by 2. We take half of it because of this double counting thing. Let's introduce the third person. So we're going to start out our story with these 6 pairs. And watch what happens when we go along with it. So I need to write it again. 1 AB, AC, AD, BC, BD, and finally CD. And we don't need this anymore. No, let's see what happens, okay? Once the pairs are chosen, so that's what you have to do. You have to think of these pairs as a unit. Think of these pairs as a unit. These are not 2 different people, this is 1 pair. Think of these pairs as a unit, And what we are asking ourselves is, how many different ways can I assign a third person to this pair? This pair is working on a project, Mr. A and Mr. B. They're telling me that they need more help. They need one more person. There are 2 people left in the firm. There are 4 people in the firm. 2 of them are working on this thing. How many different ways can I assign a third person to this pair? Well, if there are only 4 people in the firm, A, B, C, D, and A and B are already working on the project, I essentially have 2 different ways to assign a third person, either a C or a D. If A and C are working on the project and they need third person, and there are only 4 people, I can assign either a B or a D. If A and D are working, I can assign B or C. If B and C are working, I can assign A or D. If B and D are working, I can assign A or C. And C and D are working, I can assign A or B. So how many different ways can we assign a third person? In other words, how many different ways can we choose a third person? 2 different ways. Let's put this on the top here. I really need the room. I'm going to erase all of this thing. I keep saying this thing. So, how many different ways can we pick a first person out of 4? Well, there are 4 different ways of picking a first person. How many different ways can we pick a second person? There are 3 different ways of picking a second person. So there are 12 ways of picking 2 people, and because of the double counting that we already saw many times, we need to take the 12 and take half of that. That part is already done. How many different ways can I pick a third person? 2 different ways I can pick third person. Now watch what happens. This is where the kinky part is coming up. This is where the kinky part is coming up. I'm losing my voice. Just give me a second. And now, by the virtue of introducing a third person, what we're going to see in a second here is that now we are triple counting. Here we go. A, B, C. Well, A, B, C is same as A, C, B, which is same as B, C, A. So if we have a pair assigning this guy, these are not 3 different ways of choosing 3 people. These are not 3 different ways of choosing A, B, and C. This is essentially one way. We cannot triple count it. There is another triple counting here. Let's see if I can show you in green. A, B, D. A, B, D is same as A, D, B, which is same as B, D, A. And finally, the black will remain black, which is our default color, which is ACD. ACD is same as A, you see, ACD. ACD is the same 3 people. A, C, D, same 3 people. And of course, there is one more, I forgot about it. And that's the one I'm gonna just leave it the way it is, which is B, C, D. B, C, D. B, C, D. B, C, D. Everything is triple counted. And because of the triple counting that is going on here, we need to take our number of ways we can pick a third person, and divide that and take a third of that. And watch what happens here. Here is the punchline. Here is our payoff. 3 cancels out with this 3, and this 4 cancels out with voila. Or I could have taken out this 2 with that 2 if I wanted to. But what do you notice? We are left with 2 times 2. That's how many ways we have of picking 3 people out of 4. But of course we already knew this answer a long time ago. We started our story with that thing. If you have to pick 3 people out of 4, that is same as saying, do not pick one person. Well, how many ways can I not pick one person out of 4? 4 different ways. Because there are 4 people, I have a liberty of not choosing one person, any one of those 4 people. So I have 4 choices, which is what we see here, 2 times 2. That's it. We are very close to the end of the story. Okay, I'm going to erase all of this thing. The beauty of this thing is that you can always rewind it and watch it again if you have to, as opposed to sitting in the classroom where once the blackboard is erased, it's gone forever. Anyway, I need the room. Well, actually I can continue here. If we had 5 people, let's do that here. If we pick 3 out of 5. So forget about this part here. This part does not pretend anymore because I've changed it to 5. This was the previous work. This is when we had 4 people, A, B, C, D. This is the 4 people here. This work that we see here is choose 3 out of 4. Which is what this work is, which is what the demarcation is here. And if you do not know what demarcate means, learn it. It does not hurt to improve your vocabulary. I'm going to digress for a second. I'm going to tell you exactly which day you can listen to the vocabulary video of mine and improve your vocabulary and learn this word demarcation. Day number 12. Just type in vocabulary, day 12, and you will learn the word demarcation, boundary. If we had 5 people, if we had to pick 3 people out of 5, then there are 5 ways of choosing the first person. There are 5 ways of choosing the first person. After you have chosen the first person, there are 4 left. So therefore there are 4 different ways of picking a second person. And when you're picking 2 people, there is always double counting. So you take that and divide that by 2. Once you have chosen 2 people, how many different ways can I pick a third person? Well, there were 5 people. I have already chosen 1, I have already chosen 2nd. That means there are 3 people left. So I have 3 different ways of picking a third person. And because of the triple counting, I need to divide that by 3. Now this is a very peculiar scenario here. I'm not going to write everything on the blackboard because I want to wrap this thing up. This is going on for a long time now. So I'm not going to write everything, but I'm going to tell you what's going on. This is very peculiar because what this tells us is that, the number of different, listen carefully, number of ways that you can pick 2 people out of 5. How many different ways can you pick 2 people out of 5? It looks like 20 divided by 2 is 10. There are 10 different ways you can pick 2 people. If you ignore this part here, there are 10 different ways you can pick 2 people out of 5. And it looks like there are also 10 different ways you can pick 3 people out of 5. And you're going to have to do all of this out, so you'll figure it out. I'm not going to do it here because doing 5 people on the blackboard with the pictures that I did will bore the pants off you. Okay? We don't want to do that. No, that wouldn't be nice. So, let's continue here. Now, let's pick 3 out of 6. 3 out of 6. Where should we do it? 3 out of 6. Let's erase this thing. What the hell? We don't need this thing anymore. So this was 5 out. This was pick 3 out of 5. This was pick 3 out of 4, and now we are doing pick 3 out of 6. If we are picking 3 out of 6, there are 6 different ways you can choose the first person. There are 5 different ways you can choose the second person. Because of the double counting, we need to divide that by 2. After you have chosen the first and the second person, there are 4 people still left. So I have 4 different ways I can pick a third person. And because of the triple counting that's going to happen, you need to divide that by 3. But notice what's going on. This is the intuitive part here. Notice what's going on. 4 divided by 3 is more than 1. So it looks like our options are increasing. How many different ways you can choose 3 people? It's increased here. Over here it did not increase at all. It stayed the same because we have few people here. We had 5 people. We were supposed to choose 3. We were limited. So that's it. That's our answer. If you had to pick 3 out of 7, we are getting very close to the payoff. 7 ways you can pick a first person, 6 different ways you can pick a second person, divided by half, divided by 2 to get to take care of the repetition, there are 5 different ways I can pick a third person, and as soon as I pick a third person, triple counting is going to take place, and therefore I need to take that entire answer and divide it by 3. How many different ways can we pick 3 people out of 8? Well, that's very simple. There are 8 different ways you can pick a first person. There are 7 different ways you can pick a second person. Divide that by 2 to take care of the repetition, to take care of the double counting. And once you've chosen the second person, there are 6 different ways you can pick the third person out of 8. You see, there are 8 people to pick, 8 choices for the first place, 7 choices for the second place, 6 choices for the third place. And that's it, we're done. That was the answer to the question that appears in the book. That's it. I'm done. Finally, it is out of my system. And I feel better. Where the hell was it? On top of page 157. This is it. This is our final answer. And of course you can simplify this thing. This 6 is going to drop out with this, and the answer is 6 times 7 times 7 times 8. I have no idea what 7 times 8 is, but I know the 7 sevens are 49, and I know that because I know my squares. 7 squared is 49. So if 7 sevens are 49, if you were to add 1 more 7 to 49, that will make it 50, and then 6 more, 56. That's your answer. 56 is your answer. And since I have the book in front of me, and since I have the page number 192, it does not hurt to actually verify this whole thing right on the video, so that we are over and done with. 56 is the answer that they showed you there also. That's it, we're done. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll do the next question on page number 157, which I'm sure you will go much faster. I'll see you then. Bye.